Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor and his friends give you sports betting tips. I'm your host, Professor Sides, and I have built a set of mathematical models named Sideline that predict various sports outcomes. You'll know more about the baseball models during the course of this episode. Set to cover 4 Major League Baseball games scheduled to be played on Thursday, May 11th, 2023. Get your new here, check out the webpage on the banner. It's www.pickswiththeprofessor.com/new for some explanations and community rules. Reminder, if you're interested in projections of picks for every single game, sign up on Dub Club. That link is in the show description. They get you the A-plus play of the day, all of the A-grade picks. It tells you what number the model needs for an A-grade pick. Those projections are out the morning before, so you can have those in hand, be shopping around, knowing that if a number gets to a certain place, that's where the model says fire away with confidence. That's also where you get the Discord chat. Greatest place to ask questions and get advice on all sorts of sports that we don't even cover here from other sports bettors like yourself. So it's a lot of fun over there. Again, under $1 a day, that link for Dub Club in the show description. Remember that sports are unpredictable, so the discussion in this show projects a typical game, does not try to forecast it to a T, as that'd be a foolish and impossible goal. We take a long-term view on here and don't get distracted when relievers blow late games, when the ball just flies, when the ball doesn't fly, when weird things happen. Bounces out in the long run, but the idea is that we're going to have some good variance. We're going to have some bad variance. As much as I like to say we'll be profitable every single day, that is an impossible reality for any gambler. Because Jared, what is on your mind?
What is on my mind is what the hell is going on with the Cardinals. I know this story is about a week old now, but I have just not been able to get enough of the content coming from, hey, Wilson Contreras, we paid you $87 million, but we don't want you to do the thing that you've always done because you're not good at it or not good enough for us, or we have pitchers that are saying that you're not good enough, and so we're going to honor what they want. Just the whole thing was handled very poorly. I don't know in what world where this is an issue and it so publicly gets out there. Like, in no way does this seem like the best way to handle this situation, but it's like a slow motion car wreck, and I just cannot take my eyes off of it. I want to get all the content I can. And what I would say is that this also ties into maybe something that happened earlier this season where Tyler O'Neill got benched for, they said, lack of hustle. And the next day they were talking about it, and Ollie Marmol, the manager, kind of said, yeah, there was clearly a lack of hustle there. And Tyler O'Neill was like, I don't really know what he's talking about. I completely disagree with him, but okay, I guess this is how we're going to handle it. And I thought that was strange at the time, but baseball, lots of crazy things happen. But now this is happening, and I just had this bad vibe about the Cardinals, which is an organization that we never would have thought something like this would happen. So
has been almost a model run franchise for other than the thing where they tried to hack into the Astros system, other than that thing, right? Well, which honestly, look, to be fair, and as we're Astros fans, to be fair, all those front offices are cheating. Basically, they're all trying to cheat. They're all trying to figure it out, because this is the nature of it, right? When MLB played so just we don't care about rules and we're just going to turn a blind eye to stuff. All these front offices were looking for every edge they could get in every way possible, because they know every extra win means more dollars for them. And so, but other than that incident, a model franchise for 20 years now, it seems like. Yep. I had not heard the Tyler O'Neill story. That is fascinating. I think Dan Zaborski, a great follow on Twitter. If you don't follow him already, real smart guy. He's funny, which is always good. And you'll learn a lot from him, people, if you don't already follow him. So recommend him. He's the creator of Zips, which is one of the original projection systems from a long, long time ago. Was talking about it. I think he said it best. So I don't want to steal how he said it or whatever, but it was something to the effect of, you had a Hall of Fame catcher in Yadier Molina. He announced his retirement. You had a whole year to prepare for this, and you're basically now are crying in your milk because you didn't find a Hall of Fame catcher replacement, but yet you played against him in the same division for 7 years now or whatever it is. And so it's it's very puzzling, because the solution is maybe make the process a little bit less dependent on your catcher, because Yadier Molina, again, Hall of Fame catcher, defensively, just incredibly good. And, you don't get guys like that, very often.
Exactly.
And so make the process a little bit more on the pitching coach, a little bit more on the pitchers, kind of figure out a way. Last year should have been all about how can he help translate some of this stuff and make it the next generation, that sort of stuff. And they just seemed like they got caught with their pants down and just thought that, oh, well, anybody could just come in and do what Yadier Molina's doing, which is ridiculous.
And I think that even something that people have talked about a lot about is that he skipped the World Baseball Classic specifically because he wanted to work with the Cardinals pitchers, be there all during spring training. He was really putting in the effort. And so that's another reason why I just have a very hard time coming to grips with they threw the guy under the bus so publicly when it seems like he was clearly doing everything that was of him and was making every effort. It wasn't like he left the team for 3 weeks in the middle of spring training to go to the World Baseball. So I don't know. The whole thing is just very strange.
Which, and if players do that right, that's their right. That's fine. But, you feel more comfortable with a guy going to the World Baseball Classic when he's been on a team working with the same guys. And it's like, hey, same old. I just got to get in baseball shape. You aren't missing me. But a new catcher coming in, he did the right thing, which was I got to work with my new teammates. And he's definitely trying. Also, of course, the ridiculous part about this is he's not a bad catcher, and their biggest upside at this point, considering how many games in the hole they are, is they have to have the biggest upside. The biggest upside is having a great bat like that behind the plate and figuring out the issues. And this isn't going to help. If he is the issue, it's not going to help him fix the issue. And if he's not the issue, then why are you doing it? Right. It's very puzzling all around. The thing on my mind, cousin Jared, is I had a root canal on Saturday.
Oh no!
And just got the crown put in today. The side of my mouth's still a little numb, so I feel like I can mostly talk now. But kids out there, floss your teeth. Adults too, floss your teeth. It's that root canal was terrible. It was very miserable.
I have flossed my teeth every night since you told me this story. Let's see how long that lasts.
Maybe I'll just once every month I'll pop in with a reminder of here's your daily hygiene, because that was so miserable. I get the whole life happens and we get lazy, and I've been suspect of that too, of course. But my goodness, anything you can do to prevent having a root canal is something you viewers should try to do. Enough about that though. We've got a short slate here on Thursday, 6 games. 2 of them don't even have lines yet, so we're gonna cover all 4 that have lines.
But there are night games.
There are night games. And it's fun. I think we're really spaced out the 4 games we're going to talk about. So it should be a fun slate to talk about. Lots of goodies here. But some reminders before we get to it. Please hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Also, if you aren't yet, please consider subscribing or following. It's free. If you turn on notifications, you don't miss any of the college basketball, MLB, or college football content that this channel provides. A grade Monday line plays return 4 units. That is the risk plus win equals 4. B grades return 3. C grades return 2. A plus play of the day returns 5. Cousin Jared, for the second week in a row, you get to talk about the A plus play of the day. More of a function of there's only 4 games with lines, and we have to talk about something on the show. So we are going to cover the A plus play of the day, my favorite pick of the day. Honestly, the one reason that you should bet on sports tomorrow is this one game. Otherwise, the slate's a little bit suspect.
Without knowing what the picks were, I texted you earlier today and knew exactly what game it was going to be.
Yep, absolutely. And so I'm excited to talk about that one. But with the scaling, with the picks, with everything, as always, take what you like and leave the rest. 1:10 p.m. Eastern. Padres at the Twins. Go back to Padres here at -115. B grade model says it should be Padres -116, so a tiny bit of value. And I think the tiny bit of value comes from the fact that Bailey Ober is an above average pitcher, and he's a good pitcher, but he's nowhere near as good as that .98 ERA. That's only in 3 starts, of course. The underlying metrics say it should be a little in the low 3s, which would still be really good. He's a good pitcher, but Yu Darvish is still the better pitcher. He's done well this year. He always seems to do well. There were a couple years ago I thought he was kind of starting to fade, and then all of a sudden, ever since then, he's come back pretty strong. So we still got the better pitcher with the better track record in Yu Darvish. Relievers, of course, advantage Twins, but offense, massive advantage Padres. Padres win this one according to the model 54% of the time, makes -115. A decent play. Otherwise, we're going to be in the upper 60s for this one. Wind blowing mostly across, no rain in the forecast, and a total of 8.5, whereas the model says 8.4. So the model says this total is spot on, but a tiny bit of value here on the Padres. Not that I dislike Bailey Ober. It's just that I think he might be a tiny bit overvalued. That gives us a little bit of value here on the Padres, as long as you're playing here in the -1 teens. Because, Jared, what do you got?
I like the Padres in this spot as well. To your point, Yu Darvish, I think, is just too good. Bailey Ober, the ERA is sparkling, but only 3 starts. I think trust Yu Darvish a lot more, a little bit more of a track record there than Bailey Ober does. I'm not breaking any news there. And, the weather, you got wind coming across. I don't think you're going to see a ton of balls leaving the park here. I don't think you're going to see a very high scoring game. So I think this will stay close. And in a close game, I definitely like the edge of Yu Darvish over Bailey Ober.
Yeah, and he's going to need to, of course, give the Padres some lane, because that Padres bullpen can just be a barrel of fun.
Yeah.
I went with more sarcasm. Yeah, this is one where like I feel like with the Padres, every time I back them, I want to watch the first 5-6 innings and then I just turn it off because even their best pitcher, Sunday Night Baseball, Josh Hader gives up the home run to tie it to the Dodgers. So it's like even their best, and Hader's looked a lot better since whatever the heck that was last year that we talked about with his release point and landing spot, whatever was messing him up. But it's definitely a like, watch this one early, Padres get up and then just turn it off and then see what happens, because it's not worth the heart health to watch the Padres pull, because the Padres, I don't know. I hate to like second guess front offices because they have a very tough job, and it's not like us playing a video game where we can just hit a button and sign a guy. But you do wonder why the bullpen is so bad, given all the money they spent on the offense, and knowing that their starting pitching would be so weak. Not a lot of depth in the starting pitching, and I think they couldn't do much about that. They kind of spent all their money on offense, and so they don't really have a lot of money to go out and sign a good starter. They don't really have any starters in the system, so I think they kind of knew that, and they were going to live with that. So, like, to me, I'm thinking, okay, well, fine. If my starters are going to be sketchy with this offense, let's at least get some better arms in the bullpen. And I don't know,
Yeah, and I feel like Hader maybe is he going to be a free agent after this season? I'm not sure. So I don't know what they do. This is a whole nother topic. The Padres have locked up so much money in some of these players. I think they're going to have problems putting a team around them, in next year, the year after, and the year after that. So definitely going to be something to watch. I don't know what they're going to do long term. They've kind of put themselves in a corner, in my opinion.
They really have. Yeah, Hader's a free agent after this season. He's one of the many players that they've talked about just having to let go, not being able to lock up to a long-term deal. They locked up Musgrove. They locked up Cronenworth. Obviously, they've given out Xander Bogaerts' big contract, right? But they've got a few guys that they're going to have to let go.
They're probably going to probably re-sign Soto.
I mean, you would hope that they would, given what they gave up, that they'd be trying to. So interesting long-term future. But the bullpen's obviously the concern there. But again, with the starting pitcher edge and Yu Darvish and the offensive edge, Padres at a short price, solid investment here to kick us off on Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why you should be betting baseball here is this one. Royals minus 115, A+ play of the day. We got 5 units collecting on this one. If it wins, 2.67 to win, 2.33. Minus 115 is a gift. Model says it should be minus 128 that the Royals win this 56% of the time. Brady Singer maybe can figure it out, maybe can't, but I have no faith in Mike Clevenger figuring it out. I have no faith in the White Sox, period. I don't know anything about. I swear I've talked about every game of this series. This is like the trashiest series of all. But here we are again talking about this series. But as I mentioned before, both righties on the mound. The White Sox are right-handed heavy. The Royals a little bit left-handed heavy. Makes these offenses about the same. That's the area the White Sox were supposed to be stronger. The bullpen's about the same. I mean, everything's a wash in this game, except you got a better starting pitcher for the Royals at home. I don't understand this price. This is one of those run, don't walk, grab it at a good price here. Singer's been terrible. There's no hiding that. 8.82 ERA on the season. The advanced metrics, though, say his ERA should be better than what Clevenger's advanced metrics say. And obviously, Singer has a track record from last year being so good. Like I said, I don't know if he can figure it out. It's one of those where it's like, if we get good Singer, this is a win. And if we don't get good Singer, we still might win because Clevenger's on the other side, and who the heck knows with these two teams. So there's just like a lot of ways I feel like this one can win. Model projects 9.2 runs. I'm seeing 9.5 and 8. Folks, this is a weather spot here. We might have some rain delaying this start a little bit. It might push it back. The wind is going to change directions after the rain comes through. This might be an under if it gets delayed. This is why you should be on our Discord again, join in Dub Club, because I'll be keeping an eye on this here throughout the day. And depending on what I'm seeing, an underplay might make a lot of sense. If it stays at the normal time and the rain misses, I would not be playing an under with a projection of 9.2 and these two teams involved. But it looks like we might end up with some strong in winds at over 10 miles an hour, close to 15 miles an hour, which would really help keep the ball in the ballpark if this gets delayed a little bit. So weather is worth keeping an eye on here with some potential rain in the forecast. But for now, I'm not playing the total. I'm just focusing on the Royals at minus 115. Cousin Jared, what do you think?
This ties in very nicely with our last topic, because the Padres, who we just talked about, did not have the best starting rotation, let Mike Clevinger go. And so that just kind of tells you what they thought of Clevinger. Yeah. To your point, he has not been playing well. I mean, come on, the Royals are terrible, but the White Sox are just as terrible. And like the White Sox are so bad. Like we talked about the Mariners last week. It's like Mariners were disappointing, I thought, but it's like, oh, you can still see them turning it around. The White Sox are disappointing. They're bad. And I don't see it getting any better. And
they're basically done.
Yeah. And the Royals, I mean, they're the Royals. They're not great.
They're also done.
Yeah, they're also done. But you're just such an advantage on the mound with Brady Singer here playing in Kaufman. I just think this is a way too short of a price. So love the Royals here. I knew it just looking at these two starting pitchers that we were going to be on the Royals. I mean, and if I can eyeball it, that's all you need to know.
I wonder if there's a mental aspect of like all the Royals players kind of knew coming into the season like they weren't going to be good. So like, I don't know. I'm not a professional athlete. I don't know their mindset, but I do wonder if they kind of came into spring training, started the season like it's gonna be a long year, but like we're gonna go out there and have some fun. And like that mindset is a little bit better. And the White Sox have to be really disappointed. Yep. And if you're a White Sox fan, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to insult your team. I'm not. You don't have to fire off in the comments about anything. I'm anti-White Sox or whatever. I'm saying they're done simply because they're so far back that they'd have to play at like a 110 win pace or something just to make the playoffs at this point, because they have to make up those games. And like, I think they're a decent team, but if they play decent the rest of the season, they're still going to finish 10 games out of the playoffs because the hole that they're in is just so large. So yeah, it's got to be a lot just disappointing there. Everything's gone wrong for them. It seems like sometimes it happens. Not their year.
Nope.
To the night game, 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Rays at the Yankees. Gonna take the Yankees here at plus 110. I have to tell you, the offensive rating of the Yankees changes a lot with or without Aaron Judge. That's the problem with the Yankees offense is it's one guy, and especially with Stanton out. I think that's why the Astros were able to handle him so well last year, was because they could just kind of focus on getting Judge out, and then no one else could do much damage, or he'd hit a home run. It was like, cool, it's one run, and they just don't have a lot outside of that. Him back, though, makes their offense a lot scarier. They're back at plus 110. Sideline says this should be Rays minus 106. This is pretty much a coin toss game, given that it's at Yankee Stadium. Drew Rasmussen, definitely the better pitcher between him and Domingo Germán, but the Yankees bullpen is better. And again, I'm still surprised every time I talk about the Rays. They have a better offense than their opponent and a weaker bullpen. And I'm like, it's like the Bizarro Rays.
It is the Bizarro Rays.
But the fact that Germán is the weaker pitcher is a little bit offset by the fact that the Yankees bullpen is better. And the model takes that into account and kind of says, hey, they don't need him to go as deep because they've got a lot of good arms in that bullpen. And that can kind of offset that. If he only gives them, 5-6 innings, that's very acceptable. Whereas for Rasmussen, given the Rays bullpen somehow now a weakness for them, they are relying on him to go deeper. And Rasmussen's a very good pitcher. He's the better pitcher for sure. But I think that kind of balances that out. The Rays offense being better is kind of balanced out by the game location. Like I said, this is pretty much coin toss. So plus 110 is the way to play it here on the Yankees, as long as you're getting decent plus odds. If it gets up to plus 118, that would be an A grade. For the Rays, you really need plus money, but plus 105 for an A grade. I don't know where the line's going to go. If a bunch of Yankees money comes in and they start being favored, at some point you flip to the Rays if you get plus odds, because again, it's a coin toss type game. So we're just playing the value that exists. Going to go over on this one. Isn't that right, Cousin Jared? We're liking the over here, over 8.5, as the model projects 9.8.
Yeah, I love the over 8.5 here. Got a moderate wind going out. It's not a cold night in New York. And I mean, I saw that we were on the Yankees, and I was just thinking, there's no way I'm fading the Rays right now. They're just playing too well. I mean, the Rays could score 9 runs themselves. And so love the over here. The model says so. You got the moderate wind going out. Germán's just been an average pitcher. I mean, what have the Rays done to the other average pitchers they've played this year? They've scored a lot of runs. So I love the over 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, either team could score a ton of runs in this one. If Rasmussen isn't on and it's a short start for him getting to that Rays bullpen, the Yankees could put up a ton of runs, especially with the wind blowing out. They got a bunch of guys who will be looking for home runs. The Rays offense could score like on, I would say on the moon, but actually be easier to score on the moon. What's the opposite of the moon? Yes, moon, right? If you take the How I Met Your Mother reference, but whatever it is, the wind blowing out is going to help. And like I said, it's not a chilly night at all. It'll be almost 80 degrees at first pitch. It'll cool down around 70 degrees to finish off, but in the 70s for the most part with the wind blowing out, and the Rays offense and the Yankees offense that goes from below average to above average just with the presence of Aaron Judge because of how much of a threat he is, lends us to run. So a little bit of value here on the Yankees, and we also like going over 8.5 as well. And wrapping us up with the late one, 9:40 p.m. Eastern, Giants at the Diamondbacks. Sean Manaea has broke my model. I like, if I were to do anything to the model to be like, hey, you need to make him worse, then the whole model gets worse. So he's like the outliers of outliers in the bad way. Mm-hmm. So the good news for the Giants is Sean Manaea not pitching. I mean, that's really all you need to know in order to back the Giants, right? Is Sean Manaea pitching? Yes, no, right? It's that simple, apparently. The Giants, at least as of now, the game isn't over yet, have put up 4 runs on the Nationals. They should be able to put up a few runs here on the Diamondbacks because Tommy Henry is a well below average starter, 5.17 ERA in his 3 starts. Advanced metrics said that's pretty spot on. One of the weaker pitchers in my starting pitcher database, and they're being backed. The Giants will be backed by Alex Cobb, 2.01 ERA. Advanced metrics say it should be a tad bit higher, but a guy I've been preaching for a long time how good he is. The Giants offense is probably a little bit better. Both sets of relievers are decent. I know this game's on the road, but it's just a massive starting pitcher mismatch here, -135. It only gets a C grade from the model, as the model says it should be Giants -133, but this is one where I'm just eyeballing it and saying I don't have a problem playing -135 with Alex Cobb versus Tommy Henry. I mean, this is just a pretty big mismatch. That's all there is to it. The Giants are right-handed heavy these days, which makes them facing a lefty and Henry to their advantage. I'm a little curious as to why Sideline only has this -133. I feel like it should be -140, -145. I don't know. I think the Giants are a good spot here. Starting pitchers aren't the only thing that matters, but I don't see where the Diamondbacks really have an edge, except for maybe a tiny edge at relief. But even the Diamondbacks relievers still aren't as good as Alex Cobb is. So I don't quite see this one. I know it's in Arizona, but I like the Giants here. Total is 9. Model says 8.5. Might have an open roof in Arizona. It's going to be low 80s, upper 70s. So if we do, obviously that's a rare occasion. Don't know if they're going to keep it open or just keep it closed or open it up. It should be a nice night for baseball either way in Arizona. Cousin Jared, what do you got?
Yeah, so this ties in nicely to a conversation we had last week about when do I call an audible compared to what Sideline has. And this is definitely one of those times that I call an audible when I see I'm going to go with a 36-point differential between the starting pitchers here. It's 2, I'm not big into the math, but I think that's a 2.5 standard deviation better than Alex Cobb is.
Almost 2.5, yeah.
Almost 2.5 standard deviations better, yeah. So that catches my eye. So this is an example of a time where I would look at the model, I see it only gives a C grade, but I see that starting pitcher mismatch, and 2.5 standard deviations is quite the mismatch. So I myself would probably say I think the Giants are a really good play here.
I have nothing more to add or teach you. Cousin Jared just casually dropping 2.5 standard deviations. I feel like my work is done. You can take over. It's your show now.
I wouldn't go that far. But like I said, if we ever have shirts, math is math is going to be one.
The math is the math. Yeah, we'll get shirts. We're gonna get shirts eventually. Maybe this summer, summer, fall. We'll get some merch out for people. This is the reason to join us on the Discord. We have these type of conversations, and the repetition of hearing these things and learning these concepts. Because Jared, you've learned a lot in the last couple of years, and the people in the Discord are learning too. Some of them are newer. Some people takes a little bit longer. Some people are quick learners, but just constantly hearing these same things, you will learn. You'll become a better. Yeah. You might not get better at English because I'm not an English person, but you'll get better at math and betting, which is my forte. Yeah. So another reason why you be in Discord is just all these concepts that you can learn and familiarize yourself with. And I do feel like, Cousin Jared, you are a great example of that. The amount, I mean, you're a smart guy to start with, but I feel like you've heard me say a lot of these things and you've picked up on them.
Yep. I mean, at some point I've listened to you talk enough where it just like osmosis. Right. I've just kind of absorbed a lot just from being around. And
exactly.
So that's kind of my method.
Exactly. All right. That's all we've got then today. Cousin Jared, any parting words for the viewer?
DraftKings came out with their season win totals for college football teams. You best believe I'm doing all of my research, so I'm fully prepared to go whenever we have those season preview shows. I'm excited about Brennan Armstrong being back with his old offensive coordinator in North Carolina State. I think that's going to be fun. Also, I cannot wait for my hot takes on Kentucky. I can already tell you, 2 years ago, I was on Kentucky. Last year, I was way off Kentucky.
You're back on them, aren't you?
I think I'm back on Kentucky this year, boys and girls. So anyway, college football season is going to be right around the corner. We're doing our research and preparing for the season preview shows.
I was not prepared for that. I mean, I should always be prepared for college football talk when you're here. I guess the question is, are you going to be dropping some of these nuggets as you find them in the Discord chat for people in the college football?
Of course. I mean, anytime that I get an alert in the college football channel, I'm all over that.
You're excited.
I'm definitely excited for that. I figured I was the only person that was excited that DraftKings released their season win totals, honestly. But I'm always ready for college football. And of course, hopefully we'll have the preview shows at some point this summer.
Yeah, for sure. And I do know that the season win totals have been coming out earlier and earlier and earlier every year. Yeah. And that makes sense from a sportsbook standpoint. What they're doing is they're putting them out earlier with lower limits. So some of these may not have big limits on it, but a lot of people aren't limit bettors anyway. And even if there are lower limits, you might as well get as much as you can in on things that have value, because we see these numbers move a lot over the course of the season with regards to the juice. I mean, we'll see sometimes it'll go, you can get something that like plus 110 to start off because they think it's shaded the wrong way, and it'll be minus 175 by the by the night before opening kickoff or whatever. Give massive swings. We've seen some minus 200s before because they don't want to come off the number, or even actual whole win number shifts. And so getting some of these early numbers, it does tie up your money a little bit longer, but it can be really valuable for the ones that you really like. So because Jared, I look forward to you gracing us with the nuggets that you find in the Discord chat.
Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning into this episode of Picks with the Professor. Don't forget to subscribe so you can enjoy the sports betting content provided on this channel, dropped right into your feed. Be back in tomorrow with more baseball betting content. And until then, as always, best of luck. And remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.